Good evening and welcome to Speedway Town Council meeting. I called the order for June 10, 2019, 7 p.m., the order to meeting. My name is Eileen Fisher. I'm President of Speedway Town Council. Others in attendance this evening, I have to my right Councilor Jason Delisle.
Good evening.
To my left, I have Councilor Gary Rakes.
Good evening.
To his left, we have Town Manager Jacob Bladesdell.
Good evening.
Have Clerk Treasurer Monty Combs.
Good evening.
And our Attorney Bob Clutter.
How do you do? I know there was the pause there because I missed the past couple meetings. I apologize.
You're right.
Apologize.
At this time, if everyone would stand, we'll do the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there one?
Next on our agenda is the approval for the minutes from our meeting of May 13, 2019. Any changes on those minutes? Seeing none, those minutes have been approved. Next is a request for a street closure for St. Chris Festival. That's between Belmore Street between 15th and 16th Street and 15th Street from the Belmore intersection to just before the Town Hall driveway. This is going to be for July 24th through July 27th, 2019. Anything to add to that?
No, I don't know if there's a representative here that wants to speak.
Only if I need to.
Madam President, I move that we approve the street closure request from St. Christopher's and encourage them to have a terrific festival as always.
A second.
Okay, we have a first and a second for the approval for street closures. Any public comments at this time? Seeing none, any questions from councilors? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of the street closure for July 24th through 27th, 2019, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have on our agenda, and I don't think that we're ready just yet this evening for the appointments on the boards and commissions. We've not had as a group, ability to really talk about that. But there are two appointments that we are needing, so we will have a second meeting in June to get that done because we're needing these appointments for the SRC as well as the Redevelopment Authority.
Correct.
Committee. So,
President Fisher, I would also make a note that we have an opening, at least one opening on our Arts Commission, and I know that there's been at least one person submit an interest on that. If there's others interested in the Arts Commission, please submit the interest form on that, please.
okay, very good. So we'll move that to our second meeting in June then. Next will be approval of an agreement between the owner of construction manager and advisor on the Government Center renovation project.
Thank you, Madam President. So this is an agreement that we have proposed with Meyer & Agim to be the construction manager on the renovation project at the new Government Center, what we sometimes call the PNC building project. Their role in the project is to be on site all the time, inspecting work, making sure it's going according to plan. I don't have the time or ability to be on site the entire time to watch everything that's going on, nor do I really have the expertise. You don't want me there being the person doing that and making sure it's being put together correctly. So these are experts that will come in, make sure the project comes together properly, and we would appreciate your approval.
I move that we approve the agreement between owner and construction manager as presented.
Second.
The first and a second on the owner agreement. At this time, we'll take public comments. Seeing none, any questions from councilors? Hearing no questions, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of the approval between owner construction management as advisor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Approved 3-0. Next is Resolution 2019-8. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Speedway, Indiana, approving Resolution Number 2019-6. Tim?
Good evening, Council. This resolution is in relation to the 2500 High School Road redevelopment project. As you're hopefully aware, we've been working towards getting this parcel, the former I-74 ramp, redeveloped over the last several years, and we're to the point where we're ready to move forward and starting the financing process. So to fill the gap on infrastructure needs there, we'll be taking out a bond. This area is currently in a TIF district, but what we're looking to do is reset this specific area into a new allocation area. We'll leave it in the current economic development area, but reset the clock so we can capture the increment on this specific project to cover the bond costs. We do not anticipate taking out more than we need to in that bond, only to cover what's required for the infrastructure. So the first step in doing that was taken at the Redevelopment Commission last meeting to basically do an amendment to our economic development plan and then reestablish this new allocation area, which we'll be referring to as Founders Square allocation area, which will not coincidentally be the name of the project as well. So this is the second step coming to the council, and then it'll eventually have to go back to the Redevelopment Commission for a confirmatory resolution. So that's happy to answer any questions.
I had the opportunity to talk to you ahead of time, Tim, so I don't have any questions, so I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the resolution 2019-09.
8.
I'm sorry, -8, apologize.
A second.
So we have a first and a second for Resolution 2019-8. We'll take public comments at this time. Seeing no public comments, any questions from councilors? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2019-8, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, approved, 3-0. Are you on the next one, too? Okay.
I'll introduce our team. I forgot to do that.
Okay. Resolution 2019-9, this is a resolution of the Town Council to the Town Speedway, Indiana, approving a lease between the Speedway municipal facilities.
My apologies, I forgot to introduce our team that's working on this bond process. So behind me and who was speaking is Rick Hall. He's a partner at Barnes and Thornburg. And then behind Rick is Jennifer Hudson. She's with London Whitty, who will be our financial advisor on this deal. And I'm going to turn this one over to Rick Hall to explain.
Thank you, Tim. Good evening. You have before you a resolution that approves a lease between the Building Corporation and the Redevelopment Commission. The way this financing of the project would work is the town issues bonds and then loans those proceeds to the Building Corporation that then expends the money on the project. The bonds are repaid from lease payments that the Building Corporation receives from the Redevelopment Commission that are payable from property taxes. So the lease that you're approving is between the Building Corporation and the Redevelopment Commission, and it would provide for annual rentals not to exceed $280,000 payable from property taxes over a term not to exceed 25 years. Earlier this evening, the Building Corporation approved the lease, and the Redevelopment Commission has already conducted a public hearing, taken any public comments, and approved the lease. So if you approve the lease this evening, it'll be executed, and then we will come back in July for your approval of the bonds that would actually finance the project. And we would hope to sell those bonds at the end of July and close in early August. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions on my end.
All right. Well, I move that we approve Resolution 2019-9.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second for Resolution 2019-9. At this time, we'll take public comments. Seeing no public comments, any questions for councilors?
No questions, just a comment that we had a number of discussions with various vendors and our staff to understand this fairly thoroughly, so I appreciate the input by everyone.
Okay, so No other comments?
No comments.
All right, so we'll take a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2019-9 say aye.
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 Opposed? Approved, 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Next is the approvals for claims and utility adjustments.
Thank you. Before the council, I have the claims for the period of May the 11th through June the 7th. Again, a month and number of pages. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer or try, and appreciate approval.
Utility adjustments or claims?
So, claims.
Yeah.
Did I say utility?
No, I wanted to be sure what you said, Monty. You said claims. I wanted to be sure of
I
that.
said claims.
I move that we approve the claims as presented by the clerk treasurer.
My second.
Okay, first and a second for the approval of the claims. Any questions from public? Any questions from counselors? Go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of approving the claims as presented by clerk treasurer say aye.
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 Those opposed? Approved, 3-0. Utility adjustments?
Yes, not near as many pages. And with those utility adjustments, I'd appreciate your approval as well. A total of $503.46.
And I move that we approve the utility adjustments from May 11th to June 7th.
Second.
Okay, first and a second on the approvals on the adjustments. Any comments from public? Seeing none. Any questions or comments from counselors? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the utility adjustments, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved, 3-0. Anything else, Monty?
Oh, no way. No, not this one.
All right.
Sorry.
We'll do our reports in from our department heads. So we'll start with Economic Developer. Tim Groff.
Good evening again. There's a lot going on around town, all over the place. So we had a successful May. We're just doing a little recap of that, but both the Parks Department and the SRC were able to utilize our facilities to raise some money for our respective groups. So we appreciate all the support from the town. 1300 block, we will be starting the cleanup efforts. We just met with Wilcox Environmental this week. The funding's in place. We will be shifting the 1300 block parking starting next Monday. Starting next Tuesday, they will be injecting the soil to stabilize some of the issues that are there, and that will go through to about the second or third week in July. And then there's a phase 2 where they'll actually be removing about 6 to 8 feet of soil in that area. So that lot on the north side of 1300 block all the way through to, we'll also be utilizing 1346, which is currently parking. So we'll be shifting some parking for about the next couple months. We'll be able to open 1346 most of that time. Phase 1, which is the injection portion, won't be as necessary to restrict as it will be when they're actually removing the soil. But we'll keep everyone posted. We're going to reach out to the businesses that are utilizing that area for parking right now and shift accordingly. But we want everyone to have a heads up that the long-awaited cleanup of that block is starting here currently.
Yeah. Tim, just a quick question. The removal of that soil has a lot to do with the history of the dry cleaning.
Correct.
Could you maybe expound on that a little bit, just knowing that we knocked down a building in order to get to that soil to do other things?
Correct. So it's actually a fairly large area. There'll be it goes almost all the way up to about 8 feet away from the Bell Helmets current building. It'll go to a portion of what was the art center. Actually, they'll be excavating what, according to the map, what was the back third of that building, if you will, and then all the way out to the alleyway almost. So it's a pretty large area that they'll be excavating and also neutralizing with the. They'll go a little deeper with the injections, which helps stabilize anything in the ground. Our water table's kind of high, so they'll only be taking out about 6 to 8 feet, but all this when we talk about the contamination, there's actually a lot of monitoring wells. Some of that's from previous plumes, just monitoring. But this one in particular, the dry cleaner that was in that spot prior had stored chemicals in the back that leaked pretty significantly over time and created a plume in that area that is now getting cleaned up. Just to be very clear, this is not the town's situation. This is the insurance of the dry cleaner, and then the IDEM regulating the cleanup. So it's our property, which is why we're involved, and we have to coordinate all the efforts and use of the property. But this is part of, when we purchased the property, the cleanup was part of that, and it's just taken a long time to get here. But you're exactly right. That's why those buildings came down as well, prepping for this portion, which is now the cleanup of that lot, which is then getting out of our way, so we're able to move forward on the redevelopment down the road here. So, does that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you.
On the note of cleanups as well, we're also meeting to check some soil, and as well with our fencing contractor, we're taking the first steps necessary to get the 10th and Polko cleanup underway as well. I still don't have an exact start date for when they'll be working out there, but we'll keep you posted on that as well. We are getting contractors in place and everything lined up, so hopefully it won't be too much longer. They'll be starting on that project. We also had a pre-construction meeting with the Able Construction, who will be building a 30,000 square foot multi-tenant building on Gilman Street, right behind Delara. And we're reviewing plans as we speak, and they're hoping to break ground here by the end of the month. So we're excited about that project. Beyond that, we talked a little bit about the financing on 2500, but we're moving forward to getting the last documents in place to get to a closing with the developer there. We're also going through a couple other processes. We got to do a rezone out there, just based on previous zoning that was put in place. We need it to be, we need to incorporate some other uses as well as some additional restrictions for design and everything else. So we'll be starting that process shortly as well. So we're keeping busy, and not a lack of things to do around town. Any questions?
Thanks, Jim.
All right. Thank you.
Next is Police Chief Jim Campbell.
Good evening. Brief update on the 500. I think overall it went very well. The fact that we had one is probably, the best news that we got. I mean, we sat there most of the day wondering if we were going to get rained on and what Monday looked like or Tuesday looked like. And, we're very fortunate to the fact that, we got 101 laps in, and after that, everything went great. When you look at the race, beside the weather, the crowd was a great crowd to deal with. We did not have that many issues. You can't bring 250,000, 300,000 people to a place and not have traffic problems or issues. I think overall, when you look at the significance of the numbers, it went pretty well. Now, obviously, again, some of those cars got towed out at the end of the day, but it wasn't by us. Mother Nature kind of socked them into where they'd parked. I always say this is a local, state, federal, the coordination, cooperation. I could probably talk a couple days about what goes into that, with the agencies involved and the coordination and what goes on. It's a unified command. It includes the, fire, medical. And, as a SEER 2, I don't know that it gets done any better anywhere. We had people, the deputy director of the FBI, and just a lot of folks come in here to see what do we do and how do we do it. A lot of people come in and want to look at the traffic flows and how we do that. So, like I said, as a summary, yeah, we had issues, but the significance of those is pretty small. Next thing, on July 1st, we're going to appoint Nicholas May, 9 o'clock on Monday. Nicholas is coming to us. He's actually born, raised in, I think his mother works at IMS, if I'm not mistaken. And, he's currently a Hamilton County sheriff. So, I think we're getting a really good officer on July 1st. My last one is Harley Hardsaw has been a chaplain with us since 2012. Holly is the minister at the Methodist Church. We've been told that Holly's going to be reassigned to Newcastle. I've told her to appeal that. I don't know how much influence I've got with the superintendent of the Methodist Church, but, you know, I just want to say she has been an outstanding member of our chaplain program. When you look at what those chaplains do, different hours, day, night, you know, they go out and deal with some of the toughest issues that our guys have to deal with. And I can't say enough good about Holly and what she's done for us in the town of Speedway. So, that's it.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Next is Fire Chief Bob Fishburne.
I will be. I don't have to repeat everything Jim said about the 500. Did go very well, and we got to spend some quality time together, but we weren't looking forward to spending Monday and Tuesday together, so very, very pleased with that. We always get to participate in the Riley Ride with the garrison, and we were able to help out again this year with that. We go over early, set up both our reserve and our primary ladder. Allison, 5 years ago, bought us the garrison flag, and this year was their largest participation in that event, which raises a lot of money for Riley. Really, the only other thing I wanted to share with you is this year our department's going to be participating in the Apex exercise out at the International Airport, which is this Wednesday. Because we're involved in things like the 500, and it's a Sear 2 event, that incident command structure is something that they would use at a major incident. And the airport is required by the FAA to include the towns and cities in the county where that would happen, and actually beyond that. So Wednesday, I'm going to be a part of the evaluation team for the incident command arm of that. But there are 15 evaluators. I think because of our involvement at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and my relationship with Chief Gentry, Al Stovall, who's a retired IFD, is now the director of public safety out at the airport through that appointment. I'm looking forward to participating in that and being a part of that on Wednesday. So it'll be an all-day thing, and it just solidifies what we do as a county. The other thing is, I share with Jacob, we've had a few inquiries about the project at Allison. We're working with them. That building is going to be a little bit taller than what our ordinances allow, and they were really concerned about variances and those sorts of things. And, you know, I told them that, you know, those procedures have things that they can go through, and obviously with an investment like that, the fire department would work with them any way we could. We have this thing at the Motor Speedway called the Pagoda, which is a lot bigger than that building that, you know, there was a variance granted on, and we're working with them on that. So as the officials who are dealing with that, we're in communication. Our inspectors already talked with their attorney, and then I talked with Melissa Sauer today just to put their mind at ease to go through the steps to, you know, make sure we do it right. You know, we certainly want to do that, but we talked through that. We'll review those plans anyway and catch some of those things. So if you don't have any questions, that's all I have. Okay.
Thanks, Chief. Next is Public Works Director Wendell Walters.
Good evening, Council. Some updates on your departments. Right off the bat, I would like to thank all of our departments for the month of May, all the staffing. We were so grateful that the rain didn't come in, that we didn't have to be here on Monday. Well, part of us didn't have to be here on Monday. One group had to work. But they did us a good job over the month, so just wanted to thank them right off the bat. To your wastewater department, we got 2 bids back in on the fine screen replacement project. It's under engineer review, so we'll get that back to you for approval, with their approval at the end of our next meeting. SCADA system upgrade is still in progress at the wastewater plant. We had an ammonia violation. for the month of May. So Norm will fill out all the paperwork and justify the reason for that with IDEM and everyone. Also, we installed a flow monitor in the Chapel Hill lift station. If you remember back a year or two ago, we put in, relined all the sewer systems out there to improve the sanitary flow and everything, and we're still seeing an issue. So this will give us information of peak times, rain events, things like that. What we're looking at now, Jacob and our group, is we're looking at the sump pump program, is trying to get the sump pumps off our sanitary line, because when it hits these lift stations, it creates problems of putting it back on the street or into a storm drain and things like that. So it's a continued work, and with the sump pump program, we've got information out. We're sharing information with the homeowners associations, everybody. So we're going to work hard to try and get people off that need to be off, and we have free inspections for that. So all you have to do is email in, and we'll get you set up for an inspection. And then on the regular maintenance going on at the plant down there, it's ongoing. On your water department, we've got 2 flushing hydrants. These are smaller hydrants that are like dead ends in the system that have went bad on us. We got one repaired last week. We'll have another one repaired this week. So those neighborhoods will be getting notice of water shutdown. Last one, we got lucky, and it was about 3 hours that we had a shutdown and got it replaced and repaired and back in service. And the SCADA system at the water plant, if I can keep track where I'm at, this is ongoing. This is about a 2-week project. So we went from surface water to groundwater to get this system installed and updated. So hopefully in 2 days, we'll go back to surface water, shut down ground, get groundwater updated on the programs. So it's back and forth a little bit right now. Well pump maintenance is ongoing. We've had power failures, we've had lightning hits, so it's always something that keeps us busy and going. Race day, we were showing that our largest customer had a less usage for the month. They've done some improvements, I understand, at their property on low flow stools and water usage. So we've seen a reduction. We didn't have to treat as much water, but we had a full staff there and tanks full if need to be, but it showed that we had a decrease in about 650-some-thousand gallons. Our test wells that we've done at Meadowwood Park, we're going to be doing some more testing on that to pull some samples, the flow data, everything like that. So we've got a meeting with Wessler at the end of the week to get this lined out, to get everything, lab work done and everything on those. Excuse me. On your street department, a lot of different activities going on. Our local projects have started. We started on a lane with tear out and put back on the concrete. We'll get off the lane. This is a 90-day project, so we're moving down the line. So we'll finish up a lane on the concrete work. We'll move to Parkwood. We'll move to Buick. We'll move to Crosley. Then after all the concrete work is done, then we'll move back and start milling out those streets and putting back asphalt. So it's a 90-day project. Everybody pay attention. We've got no parking signs. We've got cones. We've got everything out, so it is a true construction area. So be careful, and we'll get to the end. With DPW on Cartersville Road, if a lot of bright barrels showed up today, we've got some lanes blocked off, and that'll run from approximately the crossover that goes into Old Marsh Plaza, McDonald's area, all the way down to the roundabout on Cartersville Road is their first start. And all 4 lanes, east and west, will get repaired and resurfaced. So this is a long project, and then after they get Cartersville run, they run 16th Street from the roundabout all the way to Lafayette Road. But they have the schedule for all IMS events, so they're working around those too. So just be careful out through there. It is going to be restricted and tight, and we need everybody's patience and eyes on the road so that everybody gets where they need safely. Also on the street sides, they've been doing all their regular maintenance. The weather has got us behind on some things like the curb painting and crosswalk painting. They've been doing stormwater repairs. This is rebuilding basins or structures that might have problems. They're out doing that. So that kind of catches you up real quick on your departments. Tammy is out on one of her events for tonight, and I'm going to update you on that department also. Why not? She asked me to, and she is at the swim meet. So we got our grant applied to DNR, our Federal Land and Water Conservation Fund grant. I have to say that each time because we want that information out there. We have it in the hands of DNR State, so we will find out by October if they are going to approve this and move it to the federal level. And I think we've got a pretty good idea and a shot at it. Then once we get it to the federal level, we'll be notified in March if we did receive that grant. And so hopefully we've got all the right information to them on all the keywords, and we'll get that grant. Just information, we have all the cameras installed in both of the parks. We were working on the Wi-Fi that can be used by the public in both parks. So we are now live cameras. We're able to monitor the parks area. So that's done. The summer camps are underway. Shakespeare in the Park on May 30th. She's saying it was well attended. We had over 250 people join for the concert, so that's a good turnout for our first one of the year. And a little thank you to Tammy also. She went out race weekend, carb week days, everything, and helped park cars, her and her group, to raise some funds for our matching on our federal land and water conservation grant. So compliments to her. That catches us up real quick unless you got any questions.
Do you want to do our reports as well, Wendell, while you're?
Sure. Give me some copy here. I'll go for it.
On your report, back to the sump pumps.
Sump pumps.
Are you notifying the people who are in violation, who are not hooked in correctly, or how are you doing that?
We have an informational program, and Jacob, please jump in here with me, is we have an informational program that we are putting out on all of our social media. We have an intern that worked with us last year. We went through and identified all the properties. We got all the information off of different government agencies available to us. And we are doing a PR program to educate, to request. We have state laws and federal laws in place. Hopefully we never get to that point. But we have, is it a 2-year program? Help me
Yeah,
out
we're looking
there,
at it.
boss.
And right now, it's worth noting, it's strictly voluntary right now. So we're not like saying, hey, we think we've got an issue with your house or whatever. We're asking people to sign up to have the inspection done. And then we're keeping records, not just on paper, but within what we call our GIS system. So we can actually visibly look at it on the map and see where we've had folks inspected. So there's a lot of benefits to the program. It helps prevent people further down the line from their basements backing up. You get that much flow and it starts creating issues for our system. And then it also helps us from a knowledge perspective. As we potentially see issues within the system, we can look on a map and see, okay, we've had these inspected, we know it's not that. It helps us narrow down and just have more information. But to answer your question more directly, just right now, it's strictly voluntary
And
inspection.
most of it's in the Meadowwood area, is that correct, or?
Well, we have it throughout the district. Just the information I gave you on the Chapel Hill district, we made over $1 million investment in that addition alone, trying to get this clear water off our sanitary. And then after we do it, we are still seeing problems at our lift stations that somehow the clear water is still getting into us. So now we've done our maintenance, our repairs, our upgrades. So now we're looking back at the sump pump issue, foundation drains, whatever might be causing the problem. Because we need to get this off our system because it costs us money as taxpayers to treat it, to manage it, and the overflows that we do have, IDEM regulates all those, and we have to justify, clarify why these are happening. We show that we're putting money back in the system and we're working a program. It's a voluntary program right now on the sump pumps, is to help everyone out. This is all taxpayers. It's just not me standing here saying it has to be this way. We're under federal regulations, and we have a free program, and we want to get it out there and people take advantage of it.
Wendell, just to clarify the sump pump, if your sump pump is emptying to your backyard, that's what we want, right?
Yes, we want it to
Sending to
surface
the
drain.
wastewater or
Yes.
sending to the street, that is not what we want.
Right. We just do not want it going into the sanitary system. There's ways, we have information, Kelly has been working with us on sprinkler systems from your sump pump back onto your property. You can connect into our storm system. Most additions have easements that are drain swells that were built at that time when they built the properties to be used. So there's a combination of things, but we do not want it into the sanitary. Because it only takes 6 sump pumps, or 10 sump pumps at 60 gallons a minute to fill one of our 8-inch lines.
Yeah.
So this is neighbor to everybody else. So we're trying to solve the problem and help everybody out too.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next is Town Manager, Jacob.
Thank you, Madam President. Wendell stole some of my thunder there, but that's all right. I'll just reiterate, though, with the amount of road construction work going on throughout town, please give yourself some extra time to get from point A to point B. Take your time. We've got a lot of workers out there, and people get injured and killed working on the roads, and it's a real issue. So please take your time. We don't want any incidences anywhere, and certainly not within the town of Speedway. Also on Crawfordsville Road, speaking of, corridor study is going forward, and we're looking at those roads again. We received a grant from the MPO to study the area, to look at traffic counts. There's a lot of activity, and as we see more development throughout town, but also in the mall area there, we know that there's more traffic coming in and out. So we are studying it and looking at different alternatives and options to make the area safer and flow better. And then I'll also, as Wendell said, I'll reiterate just the dedication of our employees during the month of May, and especially the weekend of the 500, is incredible. It's quite an undertaking that a lot of folks work very hard and through their holiday weekend so that we can host the event and everybody have fun and get in and out safely. So appreciate their work, and that's my presentation, my update for the week.
Thank you, Jacob. Next, our counselors. We'll start with Gary Riggs.
Nothing to report, just a thank you to our employees and to the citizens for really doing their part to welcome, 500,000-600,000 people throughout the month of May to Speedway. That was terrific. I also want to thank those in town that recognized John Rankle, Sergeant John Rankle. Marine who was killed 9 years ago, June 7th. A lot of folks have been encouraging his family and friends that were close to him, so thank you for that. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. Next, Jason.
Yep, so I think we're all going to mention something about the month of May and the race, but it's just crazy how quick it's here and it's gone. But yeah, thank you to police, fire, street, everybody, all the employees really for everything that we've done. And like you said, Gary, residents for making everybody feel comfortable here. It's a great month.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Thank you, and I'll just ditto your comments for both, for actually everybody, because it is absolutely amazing to see as it does come and go how busy you work up your excitement to that point, and then it's just gone. But yet you still see the enthusiasm of our, our street department out picking up cones, the night after the race, after everybody's out. And I mean, they're still just going at it, and it's amazing the next day how everything is completely cleaned up after a crowd of that size, and it takes everybody to pitch in. So thank you to everybody who, you definitely have to have the love of that whole month of May. So thank you for that. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting at 7:40.